Hello and welcome to Pixie's Projects. I've been asked by a subscriber to do a color along showing how I use markers and then put pencils over them. So today I'm going to do that, and it's a Halloween page, so I'm trying to get it done fairly soon. I'm doing this for Marcy101971 on Instagram. She asked me to show how I pick my colors and how I do a page with markers and then add pencils on top. So we're going to do one from Kawaii Witch, and I'm very sorry about the glare from the ring on there. This is a Lariza May book, and I've colored in it before. So just to give you an idea of what a page like this looks like, or a page in here looks like, I have done this one. And this was also markers with pencil on top of them. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to take it all the way through the end to show how I do the bottles and make it look like they're part of the background, and maybe add, not necessarily clouds, but more of the white stuff in the backgrounds. So this is the page that was selected, and I will say that I spoke with Marcy at length so that we could get a page in a book that she had. I'm going to lift this up a little so you can see the full picture. I hope that did it because I can't see anymore. But this is the picture she picked. And she also has Ohuhu markers and Prismacolor pencils. So I'm going to go ahead and color this with those two items so that we can do something that she can follow along with. I hope anybody else who wants to follow along also can. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to start coloring this page. Excuse my hand in the way. I'm just fixing the camera a little bit to make it the way I want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to move the book out of the way so that I can show you what we have going on. I have my swatch book, which, if you're on your phone and you want this, this is the entirety of what I am using on this page. The O stands for Ohuhu, the P stands for Prismacolors. I will put all the details down in the description. But just if you want a screenshot of this, that's what we're looking at. This is the color scheme we're going with. I have, move that out of the way, my picking box. I don't know another word for it, but it looks like a fruit crate, but it's very, hold on, let me see if I can turn it. Very thin, like that. And I find what I'm going to use, and I put them in the box until I finish the page. I'm looking to get 3 or 4 more of these, so when I have more than one page going at a time, I have their own boxes. Haven't decorated or done anything fun with it yet. I'm gonna, but not yet. So I'm gonna pull, and I'm sorry for the noise because I hate this, which is why we're gonna do this first. All my markers out and put them to the side so that I have them available. And we're gonna leave the pencils in the bucket for now because we don't need those till after we finish the marker. Okay, terribly sorry for that. I wasn't staring at the monitor and the video cut out. So I'm back. I don't know what part we missed because I didn't want to go watch it and find out. But like I said, we're using a black marker and we're adding stones to the floor because I don't like the wooden floor. So that's just a personal preference. You can leave the floor wooden. Before the end of the video, I will add a color we can use for that, since I'm not including the wooden floor in the colors. But yeah, I'm just turning it into a stone floor, basically. And I will need to come in and clear up these lines and everything I have floating around on it because it's not exactly how it should be. But this is the start of it. So how is everyone doing today? I know Marcy's going to be excited that I actually got her video started and hopefully finished today. And I'm getting down to the end of my Halloween coloring. I've got a part of one. Yes, this is why I have David read the questions when we're doing the tags. But anyway, I have one more buddy color that I'm trying to finish up. So these are where I put the stones, and right now it does not look like the greatest thing it could look like. And it's not going to because we just got this far. I do need to grab my Sharpie because it's thicker. And I'm trying not to make a lot of noise. And it's even if I can see it. I have, oh, there it is. I have like a little pencil case on my desk. So let's switch over to my Sharpie. And I'm going to come in and outline the area that I want to use the Sharpie in. And we're not going to get rid of all these lines. And that's okay, because if there's a couple, there's a couple. Usually you can trick your eye, or somebody else's eye, normally not yours, because you know where all the bad stuff is, but most people don't notice the little tiny bits that you leave behind. We tend to fixate on them, I think, and nobody else really sees them. So we'll see once it's done. If you feel like it's too visible or not, then you let me know, you know. But I don't tend to worry about that too much. I just didn't want the wooden floor. And I really don't know why. I just don't feel like it fit into the picture. So, plus, if you know me well enough, I always have to do something that makes it harder for myself. Because that's who I am as a person. I like to struggle, apparently. So if you love the marker ASMR, I'm glad. If you're like me and you don't, I'm hoping that I've figured out how to put the numbers on the screen so you don't have to listen. But I'm not adding music over this, so it's going to be audible. And I haven't thought too much about anything beyond the actual colors of the image itself and this floor. So all the things at the end, you know, when you add the glitter and you add the fun stuff, I'm not sure what I'm quite doing yet. When I color by myself and nobody's watching, I just color and get up and move around and grab a thing here, grab a thing there, and don't really have a plan so much. But I figured since I'm doing this as a color along, I'm doing it on camera and I'm doing it for other people to look at, yeah, I don't think y'all want to watch me or sit here while I rummage around through my drawers making loud banging noises and just getting up and leaving you here unattended for moments at a time. So I tried to get as prepared as I could. I will pause the video when I need to if I forgot something. But for the most part, I think, well, I hope I got everything I needed. And like I said, I will put in the description, well, a link if you need Prismacolors or Ohuhus, and to this book, and also an entire list of what colors I used on the page and where I used them. So yeah, we're just coloring this in now. And this is the part about using markers that I find so relaxing, is just coloring in these big swatches of things. So as you can see, a lot of our lines are gone now. Oh good, you're still in frame. I'm doing okay today. I'm going to come this way and get that last little bit of that line gone. And you can make these stones, like I'm thinking like it's like a flagstone floor or whatever. You can make them as small or as big as you want. I just went with big ones so that I could get done quicker or have more large spaces to color in. And there was thought to the cauldron being black. And I picked a lighter color gray for it, so I'm really hoping I do okay with that, because this is a bit dark. Alright, just a few more of these, and then we'll finish up the rest of the floor. So it's Wednesday night. I think it's the 27th while I'm doing this. I'm really hoping I get this up tomorrow, but it depends on how much I fiddle around with the image itself. Sometimes I can finish one of these in about 2 hours, and sometimes, well, sometimes it's a lot longer because I get distracted or lost in what I'm doing and I add more and more and more stuff. And see, I went out the lines on that last stone, so I just changed where the lines were. And I'll be doing that a little more as well because some of these lines are very thick. Let's see. Let's get one over here. One over here. And we'll clean this up a little bit. And also up here. They don't want to connect. It's not like tiles. But you do want to make them so there's not too much room between some and then, you know, not enough room between others. So we're just, I guess, filling it out a little bit more. I'm sorry, apparently when I color, I get quieter. I mean, I have a hard time just talking, but I didn't realize I was getting that quiet. Yeah, so you just add what you need to finish it off. So now we have something that looks a little bit more like a stone floor. It's a very dark stone floor, but it's a stone floor. And then I'm going to pull our book because we have the grays that we took out and we need to find something lighter to go in between. And you can see there's like a line here and a line there and one right here, but they're not going to be that noticeable when we're done. So I think we need to go with something like the NG5 or the NG3, and I think we're going to go ahead with the 3. So yeah, let me grab that. And then we're just going to color in. And remember, these markers are darker until they dry if you're not used to using markers. So once this dries, it'll be more of a contrast between the two colors. And like I said, you don't have to do all this. You could just leave the floor wood, color it brown. I didn't want to. And I know you could do some work with perspective if you were to do this and change the sizes of the stones as you got further back, but it's a simplistic page and I don't feel the need for that. But again, on your page, do whatever you want. It's your page. You should enjoy it and it should look however you want it to look. So we're just about done here with this part. I don't know how many videos this will be. I'm going to leave it in real time so that it's easy to understand and you can follow along with me if you want. And it's a lot easier than pausing and restarting all the time. But it could wind up being a few videos because I'm not going to get it done in one. I know that, especially if I'm going to do 20 or 30-minute videos. Okay, so on to the next part. We're going to do the wall next. And I have for the wall the NG3, which is the one we just used for here, which is fine. So let me go ahead and... Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave myself a little note so that I can remember to write down that I changed what we were doing so that you too can follow along if I put this in the descriptions. Floor. The floor was black and NG3. Okay, we have it noted and we can continue. So now on to the wall. I really dislike coloring large pieces of stuff with alcohol markers. I understand the logic that I need to work as quickly as I can and use as much ink as I can so that it's perfectly wet. I get that you have to, my understanding is that you have to make sure that you've saturated the paper, and the easiest way to tell if you have is to look on the back and make sure that it's, you can see the entire color all over the back of it just like you can on the front. And I know for a fact that I don't do that because the backs of my pages look half colored. So I will try, and I usually like to do the smallest areas first just to get my feet wet and start coloring without worrying about having that god-awful line that I make. Don't worry too much about your bubbles. We should be able to salvage them if they get a little colored. But yeah, like right now I'm going to come up here and that's it. I've got to keep moving. I can stop right. Oops, you're not in frame for that. I can stop right here and we'll get a little line next to the shelf, which won't be as bad as some other things we could do. So I'm going to come up this way. And I'm just going to do this little part between the shelf and her hat because there's also a little spot there where the line won't be as visible. So we'll stop there. And if you know a better way, let me know in the comments because this is just how I try to get that giant background colored. I do not think that my way is the only way or that somebody might not have a better one. I'm, like I said, doing this because it was a requested video and I like to help people out when I can. But yeah, the way I color is not the way everybody does it. So maybe you know more than I do about this because I certainly am not an expert on markers. I use them because they're pretty quick. And when I get to a part where it's going to make that line, I just go over it a lot more, which is what I just did there. I still hope you're in frame, but working with markers, I can't look up. I don't have the time because they dry really quick. And then, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, we're just trying to get as much of this covered as we can. Those bubbles are slowing us down too. It gets very frustrating to me. So yeah, we're going to go up to there, and then we're going to come back in and around and get the rest of this area and hope this marker doesn't die because it's not sounding very happy. Now I just went over a whole bubble. So I may have to rethink how I'm going to color those bubbles, which is fine. There are so many options. It's not even important. So just if you can save what you have, sometimes it's a lot easier than trying to come up with the next plan. But in this case, I have not made it, so we'll figure it out. And I know a lot of people stay really well in the lines. I try not to get too close to the lines, but I go over and then I just work it out as I get there. Alright, so that part's done. It looks like the area here would also be the wall. So I'm just going to get in there. There. So now she's got that colored. Then I'm going to have to turn the book again. I'm so sorry. I've said in previous videos, me being left-handed, and I know there are left-handed colorists who don't turn the book, and I think they're so amazing. If I were to try to do this straight up and down, it would be a mess. Nobody wants to see that. So we have to deal with a little bit of me moving everything. Alright. And I have a little trick because I do tend to go over the large outline. So I do have a way of fixing that after the fact, which I'll share with you when we get there. So if you go over those lines, don't worry about it too much. There's a way to fix it. Well, there's actually quite a few ways to fix it when I think about it, but I have a really easy one I do all the time. Alright, so there we go with that. Trying to get in between these bottles and come back up before the marker dries is challenging for me, but we're not doing too bad. That's my understanding. We just have to keep the entire thing wet all the time, which would be great if we could just throw water at it, but that's not how it works. All right, another turn, and it looks like you're in frame, so we're winning today. All right. I think we're going to get this whole thing colored before the marker decides it doesn't want to be here anymore. But I can see it's starting to leave less and less color as we go. It's one of the reasons, please don't come at me about markers. I'm not against them. I use them quite regularly, but I'm not a professional at this. It's one of the reasons I don't care for markers too much, is because I don't know when it's going to die. So, like, if I start something and it dies, I don't know what, like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do you fix, tell me in the comments how you fix it when you're using markers and they just stop working. Because I don't even know. I'm kind of not intimidated by them, but at a loss for how to take care of things when they're not quite right. Like, pencils for me are more forgiving, and I have more options if, I don't know, I would know I'm running out of a pencil, I guess, but like maybe the lead's busted and every time I sharpen it, it breaks. There's more options. I have more pencil sets that have essentially the same color, and if I was to shade over it, I could get it to the right shade of the stuff I've already colored. With markers, I don't know how you come back from it, you know? You just stop there, throw another gray on it, and hope it is close to the color you had. I don't know. Alright, so now I'm just going to get around our person here with the cauldron. Let's see what we can do here. And I did say I don't like to make the videos too long, but let me know if you'd like longer videos. I don't know what everybody wants. I know how I work, and for me, I don't have more than a half hour to spend watching something, so I prefer to I prefer to have them be short. All right, we're gonna do the baseboard with N67, and I do just need to write that down because I didn't write down the baseboards. I just wrote down wall and floor. And if I'm changing colors, you need to know so you too can change colors. This is going to be almost as dark as the black, and it might be not easy to tell that we've changed colors. We'll have to wait till it dries to see. But that's okay because it's, you know, not that big of a deal to me. If it is to you, this is NG7. Go down to like NG5, which is slightly lighter. Maybe that would work more for your tastes if this is too dark. Okay. Sorry, I'm coloring and forgetting to talk to you. So this part is done. There we go. All right, so we have the wall and the floor. I'm going to pan out a little bit so you can see what we have. Okay, so there's kind of the idea of what we're working with. And we'll come back in pretty close so you can get enough to see. And we're going to start on that cauldron. And for the cauldron, I have NG5. Okay. 5 is already out, I think. Nope. 3. 5. Here we go. And so we're going to go in and get this done. And we are all kind of blending together color-wise. But once we come in with pencils, we'll be able to take care of some of that. The other thing too is that when you color with markers and then go over them with pencils, for me anyway, I prefer to use lighter colors than I intended. So say I want this cauldron to be black. So I'm going in with this type of gray so that it's not black all the way around. Like you can't go back on black and add color to it. It's too dark. So I add something less dark so that I can darken it up with the pencils. And really, there's no need to go over this stuff with pencils. It's only if that's something you're interested in doing. I mean, I think the flat block coloring with markers, I like the look of it. Like I said in the beginning, I'm just a lot extra. So I tend to do too much. Alright, so there's the top of that. Let's get, you're a little too close in. Let's move you up a little. Gonna wind up knocking into the camera with my hand on one of the passes with the marker. And I'm trying to avoid coloring those cauldron handles because I've already made them the color I want them. Going over them again will just make them darker and then they'll disappear. And as you can see with the legs, they're starting to show up separate from the flooring as they dry. Yes, the legs are in the picture, okay. So it does lighten up a bit. I'm hoping to finish all of this before I start posting the individual parts of the series because I want to have the finished picture on the thumbnail so you can see what you're getting into. Because right now this whole thing is just so gray, which it's not going to be very soon. Okay, so now we have the shelf. I'm trying to get all the gray out of the way. So if it looks like it's just going to be completely gray, that's not what's happening. I just work color to color, and I kind of find all the gray interesting. So we're going to do the shelf next. And this is the NG7, which is basically almost black. It's what we used for the baseboards, which you can see here. They are really close to black because those little flagstones on the floor are actually black. And I guess I could have used the larger size of the side of the marker for this part, but we're already in, so we'll just keep moving. I am going to go over it, though, with the bigger side so that a lot of those lines aren't showing. There we go. Came out a little bit. And that seems like it might be... Oh, no, we've got a little bit of gray left, and we're done the gray. Okay. So here's our shelf. And then I have NG2, and I'm coming in here to do the bottles, and they will not look like this at the end, but I'm just doing right around the liquids that are in the bottles. We will have these white by the time, well, a shade of white, a clear, if you will, by the time we're done this part. Or this book, or this page. I'm sorry, oh my goodness. But yeah, they'll be clear at some point. But we're just getting some color attached to them because nothing's ever actually clear. And since it's supposed to be a quick and easy page because it's markers, we're just going to make it gray to start. I'm not going to worry too much about the bubbles again. If they get covered, let them get covered. This one appears to have like a glass stopper as well, so we're going to go in with the gray there. Alright. And this one. So let me know if you predominantly color with pencils or markers. I'm just curious because I generally only color with pencils, and every once in a while I'll get on a kick where I want to color some pages with markers. I don't think they're necessarily easier, but if I just want to do some straight coloring, like just block things out and color them, markers are the best for that for me. Once I put a pencil in my hand, I've got to shade and blend it to death, and I can't just lay down color and be happy. So that's what I use markers for. And then even then, which is why I got asked to do a page with pencil over markers, because I don't stop there a lot of the time either. So now we have this, looks like a 1950s show about a witch. It's just gray. But we are going to start adding some color to this in the next video. I'm just going to take either a quick break and make this video go long, or I'm going to do it in parts. So I'll either see you next time or in a few moments. Thanks. Okay, I've decided I'm going to do all the marker and then stop the video there for the day, or for the first video. You'll just get the marker parts. So now we're on to actually adding some color. I'm not going to move the camera, but I'm just going to move the picture so that you can see all the parts of it. Everything we have is gray. So now we're going to add our first little bits of color. Let's see. We'll do something simple first. We'll do her eyes. And I'm using, okay, this is where it gets complicated. Let's see if we can see this. Oh, this isn't the one. It's this one. I'm going to show you this just now because I'm thinking of it. So this could be, where is this? This isn't it either. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, and this is impossible to say. Okay. The number on this is 89 or it's 68. I don't know which. So I'm going to call it both when we get to it. And you're going to have to figure out what it is. I think the other 8968 is green, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we're going to do the eyes, and that's with number 57. And I am going to go over this, both halves of this where it's cut, because we're going to come in with pencils and we can darken up the one half that we want to be dark. Same thing with these dots. I'm being cautious, but you don't really have to be, because we can always, if you have a white acrylic pen, you don't have to be. Let me phrase that better. You can always come back with that and make it white again. So there are her eyes, and that's all we're using that marker for. I'm going to do the skin next, and that's number 29. There you go. And I need to just kind of stare into this for a second. Okay, we're going to start with her legs because they're tiny. And I chose like a pinky color for this because it's not realistic. It's a cartoon. So I'm not overly concerned with what the skin looks like. I'm just more concerned with having a good time with this. Okay, so we're going to do this arm. And the other problem I have using markers is I tend to get kind of just into the groove of using them. And I'm always afraid I'm going to color something that isn't supposed to be colored with a marker. With the pencils, I have to go really slow. So I have a tendency of being able to see where I am and where I'm aiming for. With the markers, you can really just flow along and then be like, oh, I guess I should have stopped, you know, somewhere else instead of where I actually did. So I have to pay a little attention to it. And I'm just doing all over skin this color to start with. Everything we do with the markers is just going to be straight coloring and not really changing it at all. except when we get to the pencils, we'll start changing the color with the pencils instead. I've seen some incredible marker artists. Not to say there isn't incredible marker artists who color. That is not my point. My point is, I only tend to see people using markers when they're drawing, like chibi or manga characters. And I don't watch a lot of colorists that use markers for coloring. So I don't... Okay, I'm missing my point here. Okay, so the markers that I've seen done have all usually been colorists or artists who use markers to draw and then fill in. If you can see this red under there, it's because this paper has the red underneath. It won't show up in the drawing. But yeah, so like when I see them do this stuff, they do some amazing blending with markers. And I haven't got to that yet. I've also been told I probably can't do it with this paper because it's too thin and I need actual marker paper, but that is something I do want to try at least once. We're going to go ahead and do her hair next. And that is the number 68 or 89 that I can't tell. So we're going to go ahead and go in there. I'm just going to do inside this barrette first so that I don't mess it up. And I'm going to get this piece right here. And I think the rest of it, if I'm very careful, which is the joke because I'm never careful, I can just come in with the bigger chisel tip. And I went with pink because I always go with pink if there's some place to put it. And so when I do anything with markers, I try to stay, especially if there's large chunks of it like this hair, I try to stay in the lines. That way when I do the next chunk of the hair, it's not, you know, got the marker lines in it. I like that better. This one might be a little rough. Not too bad. All right. It's just hard for me sometimes because I don't want to use the thin marker because it will take forever. But then sometimes the thick marker is just slightly too thick. I probably need to get some brush markers, but I haven't yet. I have, I think 3 or 4 full sets of alcohol markers. So I don't want to buy more really till I start using more of these up. It sounds really weird to even say that out loud. I'm all about buying new stuff. But in this case, I don't know if they dry up from disuse or not, and I'm not going to find out. Unless somebody knows for sure and tells me, but I'm not going to find out by buying more stuff before I'm ready. Alright, so she has the pink hair. And if you can see her skin's starting to change color and get very, very pale, which is fine because we are going to add a lot to it. Her hair is also starting to get pale. You can see from that one to that one. All right, so now we're going to do the moons and their phases and the stars that are on her dress. And I'm going to go with F01, which is a fluorescent yellow, which will be quite bright, but if it's too bright or we don't like it, we can still change it with the pencils. I mean, I'll go over some of it with pencil anyway, like where this one's behind that one. Right here, I'll add pencil to it. But if you hate it, you know, when you're doing it, you absolutely can change it out a little bit by going over the whole thing with pencil. So there's those, and then we've got the one in her hair, and we have the ones on her dress. On my end frame, there we go. And if you're not a marker user, a thing I was told to do that does help is not go straight up to the line, because the marker will bleed out a little bit and it'll probably fill the space between the line and where you stopped. And I have found that to be true, at least for me. Okay, so I don't know what we're doing with this roughly bit yet, but we'll figure it out. I might use that yellow, I might not. So on to the next part of her clothing, which is 87. This is like a fuchsia purple, a little bit darker than her hair. Oh, I'm gonna dread going around those little guys down there. Okay, we'll start there then. We'll see what happens. It's so funny, like I don't worry too much when I'm coloring by myself. And now it's like you're on a camera telling people how to color this or what to do. And I'm like, oh, this will be the time I just completely go over every line and mess it all up. Because going in, I mean, I picked the colors. I still don't know how this is going to turn out. It could be horrible. I don't know yet. So please be kind if you don't like it, because I don't know if I like it yet until I get done. So far, so good on this. Okay. That one only bled over a little bit. That's not too bad. And now we're coming into the next section of the dress. Sorry, I'm really having trouble concentrating on those lines and talking. Luckily, this part will be over soon. Alright, that's not too bad. And then we do the next one. And I do think I can even clean up the stars and the moon that are going around her dress. Pardon me. Okay. There we go. And now we've got some choices that we can make. I left a piece of her shoulder out there. See that? Let me grab that and fix it before I forget. I think that's shoulder. It feels like it's shoulder. Yeah, we're going with shoulder. Okay. And now we're going into the dress. Top of it, the bodice. That's what it's called. And I'm going to leave the little cutouts plain for now. I think I'm going to do those black. I had picked a couple of colors for the dress area. So we had highlights and accents and things. But I knew this was the main color of the dress. That's why we're focusing on that first. Okay, I'm going to do this part of the dress as well. And I did switch to the smaller tip on this because it's not that big of an area. And I really feel like there was a potential for me to go over a lot and bleed through to other parts. I'm going to leave this part plain. It looks to me like, oh, I think, was it a corset belt? One of those. That's what it looks like to me. And I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm wondering if I should do them black. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it black. And I'm going to do the cutouts black as well. I'm just curious, how long does it take you all to do a page? Because I feel like it takes forever for me to do anything. Let me know in the comments if you feel like it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to her hat. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to give her the black parts for the hat band. And I do tend to use a fairly limited palette most of the time, because I feel like the more colors I add into it, the more messy it gets. So you'll see that we keep repeating colors in this. Just keeps it easier for me. There we go. Last little bit of that. Okay, and then her hat, and excuse me, my chair is making so many noises today. For her hat, I'm going to do it the same color as her dress, the main color of her dress. And I actually have to get in here a little bit. I hope my hair isn't in the frame or anything in the way, because now I'm kind of bent over my desk. Okay, now that I did the rim, I'm going in with the chisel tip so that I can go quicker. But the rim of the hat was just so tiny that I didn't want to take the chance. There we go. Alright, and then I'm going to do this other little small part. And then the actual hat. Again, I'm just getting the little bits out of the way so that I don't have to fight with them later. And we'll go ahead with this and finish it up. And we are getting really close to having everything on this page done with markers. So I guess it's not too bad, maybe about an hour. I'm incredibly slow. So I don't know how that goes for viewing a video. I personally don't mind how slow I am while I'm actually coloring. But maybe for a video it wouldn't be too great because it might be too long. I'm not sure. I'm just coloring the barrette part black. Okay, so now I'm not gonna move the camera. I'm just gonna move the picture. We have just so much gray, and then she's got all of her colors except for her socks and her shoes. And that ruffle that I still don't know what I want to do with. So I'm going to go ahead and do the shoes next, I think. And I had intended to color them black, but because I went with the darkest color here, I'm going to go in with that one, which was the NG3. No, I'm going to use what's up here, which is the NG2. For her shoes, because we'll darken them up a bit when we get back in. And I'm going to assume that's the end of her shoe. And this little line is a strap. That's what I'm going to go with. And we're going to make her socks match her dress. Because why not? There we go. And I'm also going to assume that this is little bits of lace and they'll be see-through. So instead of messing about coloring them a different color, I'm going to make them the color of her leg so that you can see through. And I think this ruffle needs to be black, so we're going to lose a lot of it maybe. But I can add some highlight in with a white pen. So I'm not going to worry about it. At least not right now. But I think if I did the yellow, it would be a little odd. And definitely can't do it the color of the dress. So here's where I've painted myself into a corner. Which is okay. I do it a lot. And usually works out somehow. Okay, almost to the end of this. There we go. And I honestly don't think that looks too bad. I will probably add some white to it. Pardon me. Sorry, with the changing of the seasons, my allergies are just not terribly happy. Okay, so we have 2 markers left. We're going to reuse some of the ones we still have. We're now going to do number 48, which is like a lime green. And this is supposed to be most of my bubbles as well. The ones we can color, because they are gray. We'll color just to be safe. I think those are going to be one of those things that we do at the very end of the coloring. But I'm still going to color them in just so we have it. And since she's pouring it into the cauldron, we'll make this part this green as well, since this is one of her potion ingredients. Yeah, I like the color of that. Now we're going to go ahead in and do the last 3 bottles. And I do realize what I left out. I do not have the brown for these corks. So I'm going to put you on pause and I'll be right. Okay, the brown I found that I want to use is 138. And again, we're still with the Ohuhu markers. So we're just going to go ahead and color in the corks. I'm going to need to remember to get a Prismacolor out for those as well. And then the rest of our bottles still need to be colored. That's it for the markers. We're going to make one of them F04, which is a fluorescent orange. And what else do we have? I have the fluorescent yellow, the orange, and a pink. Okay. And where is that one? Let's see. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do 2 of them fluorescent. We have the fluorescent yellow in her hair. And so we'll make the furthest one away from her hair yellow. I am trying my best to show you how I choose where to place things. Sometimes I'm not really conscious of the thoughts that I'm having about it. So the reason we're doing the orange one over here, or I'm doing 2 fluorescents. So I'm going to put orange and yellow on here. And the reason I'm putting the orange next to her is because I have the yellow in her outfit. And if I spread the orange to the other one, it will blend the picture together better. So I'll put the 2 fluorescents on either side and the non-fluorescent into the center. Okay, so we're going back and using our fluorescent yellow. I think it was F01. And color the contents of this bottle. I'm doing the dots even though it doesn't really matter. And then we are going to do the last one, number 68 or 89, which is like actually the color of her hair. And it's not fluorescent, but it's bright. I don't recall having a fluorescent pink, so I'm thinking that's why I didn't pick it. And all those will be muted down a bit too when we add the pencil to it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to zoom out for you so you can see what we've actually got here. But there's the finished page as far as the markers are concerned. And you really could just leave it there if you wanted to. But we're going to go ahead and do another part to this and add pencil to it. So until then, have a very good day. I hope you liked it. And if you do, please subscribe and comment and let me know about it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.